Hello everyone. In previous class we have studied about the documents which should be kept in the business place and the documents which should be displayed in the business place. In today's business, what are the general licenses and the permits which should be taken from the business before starting any retail shops? Let's see it. Knowing what retail business licenses and permits your company needs can very confusing when planning for new businesses. Each item requires time, energy and the paperwork which is depending on the government office you are dealing with to obtain the proper registrations. So the retail business license and permits are very confusing and it is dependent on the offices and the states which you are dealing with, and you have to take those all documents and the permits before starting the businesses. As unpleasant task as it may be, don't risk your business shutting down before it gets off the ground. Conducting business without a proper licensing is a criminal offense in some states, while others hand out hefty fines. So if you are not taken any licenses, in some of the states it's a criminal, and in some of the states you will charge a heavy fines. Okay, so we should not take any risk even though it is a little bit difficult to take the licenses and the permits. Okay, nowadays the rules are a little bit liberalized because of make in India and all, even though taking the some documents are little bit different. So let's see what are those documents. The first one is the federal tax ID. So when you go for any of the shops, if it is registered, you will find some of the registration numbers, that is called as the employer identification number, is also known as the federal tax identification number, and it is used to identify the business entity. It costs nothing to apply for EIN. Okay, so which you can do online as well, and most vendors require the tax ID before continuing the business with the retailer. Okay, so before starting the business, the retailer should have to get this tax ID. Even you know about the GSTIN, right? So that is also GST number which is identified the businesses for the tax purpose. So that also comes under the federal tax ID. Business license, how and where you register a retailing business with the state will depend on your state's laws. Okay, the state will decide the procedures and how to register these all things. To find out what is needed to obtain a business license in your state, start by visiting your state's official website. In the official website of the state, they clearly mention about what are the documents and how to get the license and all. You can usually find it down in www.yourstatesname.government. Okay, the most of the states have resources on how to register a new business and all of the requirements that you must meet. Okay, so if you need the good information regarding the documents and licensing procedure, then you have to visit www.yourstatesname. I mean, if your state is a Karnataka, then karnataka.government. Okay, or if it is Kerala, kerala.gov, or if it is Goa, goa.gov. So likewise the websites are there. So in that website the clear information will be given to get the license. If you have a retail business located within the city limits, you also may have to purchase a local business license. Okay, so if it is in a city limits, then we have to take a local business license. Some countries and other municipalities also require a license. Call your country or a city clerk's office for more information. Okay, so with this particular license, you may get an additional license from the municipalities, and some countries also require the additional license. So to get that information, you have to connect to the clerk of the country or the clerk of the city. The fee varies depending on the type of the business and where it is located. So the fees what is there, that will vary from the place to place and government to government, municipality to municipality. Then the resale certificate. In order to purchase the products to resell and not to pay sales tax, your business will need a resale license or certificate. Not all states require a sales license, and each state has its own name for the type of the license. Okay, so resale certificate should be taken, and the name of the resale certificate will differ state to state. So what is the benefit of this resale certificate? This type of the business license will allow your store to buy goods tax exempt from the manufacturer or distributor. Nowadays, after the introduction of the GST, there is something called input credit, right? So that is the same thing. So before introduction of the GST, while you started a retail business, while you are purchasing the goods, you are not taxed, but while you are selling the goods, you have to add the tax, and that tax should be submitted to the government. Nowadays the procedure is little bit different. While you are purchasing any goods or any of the raw materials or anything, you have to pay the tax as per the given percentage of the GST, and while you are selling that, you will get the input tax credit. Okay, so the tax which you have already paid, that amount you need not to pay, the remaining amount only you have to pay. Most vendors will request a copy of your resale certificate before doing the business with your company. Okay, business name registration or DBA certificate. If you use any name for your retail business other than your personal name, you will need to file the appropriate paperwork. Okay, you should get a certificate for the name of the registration. Some business licenses includes a business name registrations, other requires a separate registration or DBA. It is a doing business as a certificate. When you file for the corporate business structure, a foreign or a fictitious name application is generally included. Okay, so you have to get the proper certificate to the name of your business if you are operating in other than your own personal name. The professional license is there. Some industry specific retailers such as auctioneers, hairdressers, pharmacists, optometrists and other professionals may acquire a state or a local occupational license. If you are not sure you need an occupational license, check with your industry trade associations or your state's licensing department. So some of the retailing shops are there. Okay, so you might be seen in the beauty parlors or hairdressers and all, there will be a certificate, right? So that is called as a professional license. So from one particular organization, for example, for chartered accountants, ICAI is giving the certificate or the license to audit the financial statements of the companies. Okay, so that is applicable for only Indian region. Certificate of occupancy. A certificate of occupancy may be required for the business properties in some areas. After applying, the property is inspected by the representative of the necessary agencies. These may include the fire department inspector and building inspector and health and the sanitization inspector. So if you are starting any retail shops, then certificate of occupancy also should be taken from the proper authorities. So here the officers will come to inspect, and then after the certificate is provided. Other permits. So there are a lot of permits, not one or two, there are many permits and the licenses which should be taken before starting the retail business, and that will differ from state to state, government to government and municipality to municipality or authority to authority and country to country too. Okay, so it is not possible to mention each and every document. Okay, but some of the common permits and the licenses are here. One, alcohol and tobacco sales. So you might be seen in every wine shop's board their license number and whose name it is registered, that will be mentioned. Okay, alarm system permit. So alarm system is very simple. Usually some of the shops like jewelry shops and all need the alarm system. For that also they should take the license. And for the building construction, as a new businessman, if you are constructing any of the building, then the constructions license also should be taken, and the health permit also should be taken, and signage. So as I informed in the previous classes, if you are having a signage boards, then for that also you have to take the license. And special events. So if you are conducting any of the special events, the license have to be taken from the local authorities. And the zoning. So if you are going for the zoning and all, then also you have to take the license from the required authorities.